Machiavelli wrote one rule that separates the powerful from the powerless. Obey the hidden law or be destroyed by it. You don't get to ignore it. You don't get to pretend morality protects you. The world already decided. Those who understand this law control everything. Those who don't become the lesson everyone else learns from. And right now, you're on the wrong side of that equation. Not because you're weak, because you're obedient to a system designed to keep you there. The hidden law isn't written in books. It's not taught in schools. It's the silent agreement between those who dominate and those who get dominated. Power doesn't ask, it takes. Respect isn't given, it's enforced. And survival belongs to whoever refuses to play fair when fairness means losing. Machiavelli didn't invent this. He just had the guts to write it down. He exposed what kings and conquerors already knew. The ones who win aren't the ones who follow the rules. They're the ones who set them. And if you're still wondering why good people finish last, this is why. You've been obeying laws that your enemies ignore. Here's what happens next. You either accept this truth and weaponize it, or you keep pretending virtue will save you while watching ruthless people take everything you think you deserve. There's no middle ground, no safe zone. The hidden law doesn't care about your intentions, it only measures results. And results belong to those willing to destroy opposition without hesitation, control perception without apology, and build respect through distance and consequence, not kindness. This is your last warning. Obey it or be destroyed. Every time you chase approval, you relinquish control. The praise of the crowd is a leash, and you wear it willingly. You think kindness earns respect, but it doesn't. What it earns is permission. Permission for others to take more, demand more, expect more. And when you give without boundary, you teach people one lesson: you're weak. Weakness doesn't inspire fairness. It inspires exploitation. I've watched it happen in boardrooms, relationships, battlefields of psychology. The nice one always loses first. When your goal is approval, you become predictable. Predictability is the death of power. People don't fear what they can anticipate. They don't respect what they can manipulate. You smile, you comply, you bend, and every time you do, you signal that your emotions are their weapon. Machiavelli understood this cold truth. Those who depend on the goodwill of others are building castles on sand. The moment the tide shifts, you drown. Survival isn't about being loved, it's about being necessary. And necessity demands distance, not devotion. Look at how children manipulate their parents. They cry, they beg, they promise, and the parent who always caves becomes the one they respect least. It's not cruelty, it's psychology. The brain categorizes people into two groups: those who hold firm and those who collapse. The ones who collapse lose dominance. They become resources, not authorities. You see this in workplaces too. The manager who wants to be everyone's friend gets walked over. The one who maintains consequence earns fear. And fear, when balanced with fairness, becomes respect. Your addiction to being liked isn't kindness. It's cowardice dressed in virtue. You fear confrontation, so you call it compassion. You avoid setting boundaries, so you call it generosity. But the people around you, they see through it. They sense the desperation underneath your smile. And desperation has a smell. It smells like weakness. It attracts predators, not the dramatic kind, the subtle ones. The ones who ask for favors, ignore your time, dismiss your needs, and somehow make you feel guilty for noticing. That's manipulation. And you invited it in by refusing to embrace ruthlessness when it mattered. Here's the hidden law. People don't love the one who gives everything. They love the one who could take everything and chooses restraint. That's where power lives. Not in your generosity, but in your capacity for dominance held in check. When you stop seeking approval and start demanding respect through silence, through boundary, through consequence, the entire dynamic shifts. You stop being the resource, you become the authority. But first, you need to understand something darker about human nature. Something most people refuse to admit, even to themselves. Power doesn't ask permission. It probes. It pushes. It searches for cracks in your armor, and when it finds one, it exploits without hesitation. This isn't personal. It's mechanical. Every interaction you have with another human being is a test of boundary and control. They're measuring how far they can go, how much they can take, how easily you bend. And if you bend once without consequence, you've just taught them the most dangerous lesson. You're negotiable. Your limits aren't real. Your resistance is theater, and theater gets ignored. People don't respect kindness. They test it. Every act of generosity you offer is scanned for weakness. Can you be pushed further? Will you say no? Do you have the stomach for conflict, or will you fold to avoid discomfort? I've seen this play out in negotiations, in relationships, in warfare. The moment you reveal that your emotions control your decisions, you lose. Because emotion is predictable. Fear makes you retreat. Guilt makes you comply. Approval-seeking makes you a servant. And power feeds on all three. It doesn't care about fairness. It cares about dominance. Look at nature. A wolf pack doesn't follow the kindest wolf. It follows the one who can enforce survival, the one who controls resources, territory, consequence. The moment a pack leader shows hesitation, shows weakness, the others move in. Not out of malice, out of psychology. The brain is wired to exploit vulnerability because vulnerability threatens the survival of the group. So they test, they challenge, they push until something pushes back harder. This is human nature stripped of the lies we tell ourselves about morality and fairness. You're not exempt from this law. You're subject to it every single day. Consider your workplace. Someone asks you to cover their shift. You agree. Next week they ask again. You agree again. Third time, they don't ask anymore. They expect. They assume. And if you finally refuse, they act offended. Why? Because you broke the pattern. You gave them power over your time, and now you're trying to take it back. But power, once surrendered, doesn't return without a fight. This is why people who start soft always struggle later. They think they're building goodwill. What they're actually building is a cage. A cage where saying no feels like cruelty, and saying yes feels like imprisonment. The ruthless understand this instinctively. They don't give without calculation. They don't help without leverage. They set boundaries early and enforce them without emotion. When someone tests them, they respond with cold precision, not anger, not explanation, just consequence. And consequence is the only language power respects. You can talk about your feelings, your needs, your fairness. None of it matters. What matters is whether you're willing to let someone experience the cost of crossing you. If you're not, they'll keep crossing. And eventually, you'll realize something that changes everything about how you see control. Whoever defines meaning defines reality. This is the first law of psychological warfare. You don't win arguments by having better facts. You win by deciding what the argument is about. When someone else sets the frame, you're already fighting on their terms, their battlefield, their rules. And on their battlefield, you lose before you even speak. Machiavelli knew this. Sun Tzu knew this. Every strategist worth studying understood that control isn't about force. It's about perception. The moment you let someone else decide what matters, what's fair, what's reasonable, you've handed them dominance without a fight. Look at how this plays out in relationships. One person says, "You never listen to me." The other responds, "That's not true, I listen all the time." Now the entire conversation is about whether they listen or not. But that was never the real issue. The real issue was power. Who gets to define what listening means? Who gets to judge whether it happened? Who controls the emotional framing of the interaction? The person who made the accusation just seized control, and the other person, by defending, accepted the frame. They're arguing from your perspective. They've already won. You're just performing. This is why lawyers don't answer accusations directly. They reframe. Your Honor, the question isn't whether my client was there. The question is whether being there constitutes intent. Boom. New frame. New reality. The jury stops thinking about presence and starts thinking about intent. The entire trial shifts. Politicians do this constantly. It's not about what I did. It's about what they're trying to distract you from. Suddenly, the scandal isn't the story anymore. The distraction is. This is manipulation at the highest level, not emotional, not desperate, just cold, calculated control of what people focus on. You see this in business negotiations too. Someone offers you a deal. You don't like the price. Weak move. That's too expensive. Strong move. I'm not sure this aligns with the value structure we're building. You just reframed the conversation from price to value, from their terms to yours. Now they're the ones defending. They're explaining why their offer fits your structure. You shifted the power without raising your voice, without emotion, without approval seeking. Just framing, just control. And control is everything, because whoever controls the framing controls the outcome before the outcome even exists. But here's where most people fail. They think framing is about words. It's not. It's about psychology. It's about understanding what people fear, what they want, what they'll sacrifice to avoid discomfort. When you frame a conversation around someone's fear, you control their decisions. When you frame it around their guilt, you control their compliance. When you frame it around their need for respect, you control their loyalty. This isn't theory. This is how power actually works beneath the surface. And if you're not doing it, someone else is doing it to you, right now, in ways you haven't even noticed yet. Virtue is a tool, not a philosophy. You wear it when it serves you, and you discard it when it doesn't. This offends people because they've been trained to believe that morality is absolute, that goodness has inherent value. It doesn't. What has value is survival. What has value is power. What has value is the ability to navigate a world where everyone else is pretending their actions are noble while quietly calculating self-interest. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to celebrate cruelty. He wrote it to expose the machinery beneath the mask. The rulers who last aren't the virtuous ones. They're the ones who understand that morality without power is just self-sacrifice disguised as kindness. Look at history. Every empire, every leader who claimed moral superiority, where are they now? Dead, replaced, forgotten. The ones who survived weren't the nicest. They were the ones who knew when to appear compassionate and when to act ruthlessly. Lincoln spoke of unity while waging total war. Churchill promised never to surrender while making deals with Stalin. Gandhi preached non-violence while leveraging the British Empire's fear of losing India to chaos. Each one understood the hidden law. Demonstrate the morality people expect, but act with the ruthlessness survival demands. Public virtue, private strategy. That's the formula. You think your integrity makes you untouchable. It doesn't. It makes you predictable. When people know you'll always choose fairness, they exploit it. They push boundaries, take advantage, manipulate your guilt, and you let them, because standing firm feels like betrayal of your values. But your values aren't protecting you. They're imprisoning you. Real power comes from flexibility, from knowing when kindness serves your position and when it weakens it. A manager who never fires anyone becomes a dumping ground for incompetence. A parent who never enforces consequence raises entitled children. A leader who refuses ruthlessness gets replaced by someone who doesn't. Consider negotiations. You walk in projecting honesty, transparency, goodwill. The other side reads that as weakness. They sense you won't lie, won't manipulate, won't walk away. So they squeeze. They demand more, offer less, test every boundary, because they know you're constrained by morality while they're constrained by nothing. This is why ethical people lose. Not because ethics are wrong, but because they broadcast limitation. They announce to predators exactly where the vulnerability is. Meanwhile, the strategic ones, they project ethics while operating on calculation. They smile, they nod, they agree, and then they structure deals that serve their dominance while making you feel respected. Morality without power is suicide. Power without the appearance of morality is chaos. The hidden law lives in the tension between the two. You must be capable of ruthlessness while appearing incapable of it. You must be willing to destroy while seeming committed to fairness. This isn't hypocrisy. It's survival psychology. The world doesn't reward saints. It rewards those who understand that respect isn't built on goodness. It's built on something far colder, far more deliberate, something that most people fear to admit even exists. Familiarity breeds contempt, not because people are ungrateful, because the brain is wired to devalue what it can access freely. The more someone knows about you, the less mystery you hold. The less mystery, the less power. You think closeness builds respect, but it doesn't. It builds comfort, and comfort is the death of dominance. When you're always available, always transparent, always eager to connect, you become furniture, background noise, taken for granted. This is why leaders who try to be everyone's friend lose authority, why partners who share everything lose attraction, why the ones who maintain distance, who hold something back, who move like shadows, they're the ones people chase. Power lives in absence, not presence. Think about it. The mentor you respect most? Probably the one who didn't hand you everything. The boss who commanded fear. The one you rarely saw. The person who haunted your thoughts. The one who wasn't always around. Distance creates value because the human mind fills gaps with imagination. When you're scarce, people project onto you. They assume depth. They assign importance. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, whether they still matter to you. That uncertainty, that's control. And you're giving it away every time you over-explain, overshare, over-invest in connection. I learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I thought being open would earn trust. I shared struggles, vulnerabilities, doubts. What I got wasn't respect. It was exploitation. People used my honesty as a map to my weaknesses. They knew exactly what to say to manipulate me, exactly which emotions to trigger. The moment I pulled back, everything shifted. I stopped explaining decisions, stopped justifying actions, stopped being available on demand, and suddenly people listened differently. They didn't interrupt. They didn't push. They respected the boundary because I finally enforced one. Distance didn't create coldness. It created reverence. This applies everywhere. In business, the consultant who's always available gets paid less than the one who's booked months out. Same skill, different perception. Scarcity signals value. In relationships, the partner who's always emotionally available often gets taken for granted, while the one who maintains autonomy stays desired. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding psychology. People don't respect what they fully possess. They respect what they can't quite reach. The moment you become completely knowable, completely predictable, completely accessible, you lose the one thing that made you powerful, the fear that you might not need them as much as they need you. The more they know you, the less they fear you. And fear, balanced with fairness, is the foundation of respect. Not the fear of harm, the fear of loss. The fear that if they cross you, there's a consequence. That if they take you for granted, you disappear. That if they disrespect your time, your emotion, your boundaries, they lose access. This is why proximity kills power. When you're too close, consequences feel empty, threats feel hollow, boundaries feel negotiable. But when you maintain distance, when you move with cold precision, when people sense they could lose you, that's when respect becomes permanent. To shape minds, you must be willing to shatter illusions. People cling to comfort, to safety, to the lies that protect their egos. If you want to influence them, you can't coddle that. You have to break it, not with rage, with precision. Empathy sounds noble, but it limits strategy. When you care too much about how someone feels, you pull your punches. You soften the truth. You negotiate with their resistance instead of overwhelming it. Real influence doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for readiness. It strikes at the belief system, dismantles it, and rebuilds something new before the person even realizes they've been reprogrammed. That's not cruelty. That's psychology. Look at cult leaders, military commanders, master negotiators. They all understand the same principle. You don't influence people by being kind. You influence them by being unavoidable, by making the cost of ignoring you higher than the cost of compliance. Ruthlessness doesn't mean violence. It means refusal to compromise on the outcome you need. When a general sends soldiers into battle, he's not worried about their fear. He's worried about victory. When a CEO restructures a company, he's not weighing every individual's comfort. He's calculating survival. When a therapist forces a patient to confront trauma, she's not being gentle. She's being effective. Influence demands that you care more about the result than the process. You've seen this in your own life. The people who changed you weren't the ones who validated your excuses. They were the ones who refused to accept them. The coach who pushed you past your limits. The mentor who called out your self-deception. The friend who told you the truth even when it hurt. They didn't care if you liked them in that moment. They cared about breaking the pattern that was destroying you. That's ruthlessness in its purest form. The willingness to be hated temporarily for someone's long-term transformation. Weak people can't do this. They need approval too much. They'd rather be loved than be effective. Consider how propaganda works. It doesn't persuade through logic. It dominates through repetition, emotion, fear, and consequence. It doesn't ask you to agree. It makes disagreement feel dangerous. This is why authoritarian regimes succeed at mass influence while democratic systems struggle. Ruthlessness wins the mind faster than fairness. You see this in advertising too. Brands don't gently suggest you buy their product. They create urgency, scarcity, fear of missing out. They manipulate your psychology without apology. And it works. Because influence isn't about respect. It's about control. And control requires the willingness to exploit vulnerability without hesitation. Here's the part most people won't admit. You're already being influenced by ruthless forces every single day. Algorithms manipulate your attention. Corporations manipulate your desires. Media manipulates your fear. Politicians manipulate your identity. And they're all succeeding because they don't care about your feelings. They care about your behavior. If you refuse to adopt the same ruthlessness in your own life, you'll spend forever wondering why nothing changes, why people don't listen, why your words don't land, why you keep losing ground to those who have no problem weaponizing psychology while you're still worried about being nice. Machiavelli warned, "He who depends on others is already defeated." When you enter someone else's arena, you fight with their weapons, their referees, their scoreboard. You think you're competing, you're not. You're performing in a system designed for your failure. The game is rigged before you arrive, and every move you make reinforces their power while draining yours. This is why underdogs who play by the rules stay underdogs. This is why rebels who seek approval from the system get crushed. You can't win a game where the victory conditions are controlled by your opponent. The only winning move is to refuse the game entirely. Look at corporate hierarchies. You work hard, follow protocol, demonstrate loyalty, and watch as someone who breaks the rules gets promoted. Why? Because they didn't compete in the official system, they built leverage outside it. They created value the company couldn't ignore, then negotiated from a position of power, not submission. Meanwhile, you were busy being obedient, playing by their rules, waiting for fairness that never arrives. The system doesn't reward merit, it rewards control. And you'll never have control when you're operating inside someone else's structure, asking for permission to rise. Politics operates the same way. Every election, people argue over which candidate is better within a two-party system. They're not choosing freedom. They're choosing which cage feels more comfortable. The real power isn't in voting. It's in setting the options people vote on. It's in framing the questions so every answer serves your agenda. This is why revolutionaries don't run for office. They change the game. They reject the boundaries others have drawn and create new arenas where the old rules don't apply. Survival doesn't come from winning the competition. It comes from making the competition irrelevant. You see this in business too. Why do startups disrupt industries? Because they refuse to compete on the incumbents' terms. Uber didn't try to build a better taxi company. Tesla didn't try to make slightly better gas cars. Netflix didn't try to open bigger blockbuster stores. They rejected the entire framework and built something the old players couldn't respond to without destroying themselves. That's strategic ruthlessness. That's understanding that if you play someone else's game, you validate their dominance even in victory. Real power comes from designing a new game where you hold the advantage before anyone realizes the rules have changed. So when you find yourself struggling in a system that doesn't value you, stop fighting harder, start building elsewhere. Play only in arenas where you can determine the consequences, where your strengths are advantages, not obstacles. Where your refusal to comply becomes the very thing that makes you dangerous. Because here's the hidden truth. Every time you accept someone else's rules, you're not just competing. You're training yourself to lose. In nature and in politics, stagnation equals death. You don't get to pause. You don't get to rest on past victories. The moment you stop advancing, someone else starts. And they're not coming for second place. They're coming for your position. This is the law of survival stripped bare. Destroy the competition or become irrelevant. Hesitation is suicide. Mercy is a luxury only the dominant can afford. and even then, only temporarily. The world rewards aggression, not sentiment. Those who hesitate become the lesson that others learn. Those who act without apology become the architects of the next era. Look at empires. Rome didn't fall because of external enemies. It fell because it stopped destroying threats early. It negotiated. It tolerated. It showed restraint when ruthlessness was required. And every small compromise signaled weakness to those watching. The barbarians didn't fear Rome anymore. They smelled decay. They sensed the empire had lost its will to crush opposition completely. So they pushed, and eventually what was once untouchable became rubble. This is the cost of mercy. This is what happens when you choose fairness over dominance. You don't survive by being reasonable with people who want your destruction. You survive by making yourself too costly to replace. Think about your own career. There's someone right now studying your position, learning your skills, waiting for you to slip. They're not doing this out of malice. They're doing it out of survival psychology. The corporate ladder has limited space. If you're occupying it, you're blocking someone else's climb. So they watch. They prepare. And the moment you show weakness, hesitation, outdated thinking, they move. Not loudly, not dramatically, just efficiently. They position themselves as the better option, the fresher perspective, the lower-cost alternative. And if you're not constantly evolving, constantly proving your necessity, constantly making yourself irreplaceable, you become a problem to solve, not a person to keep. This applies to relationships too. People don't stay because of history. They stay because of value. The moment you stop growing, stop challenging, stop being the version of yourself that they can't find elsewhere, you're replaceable. They might not leave immediately, but the relationship dies internally long before it dies officially. You become familiar, predictable, safe, and safety without power is contempt waiting to happen. You think loyalty protects you. It doesn't. Necessity protects you. The fear that losing you costs more than keeping you. That's the only bond that survives time. So you have two choices: evolve or die. Destroy the version of yourself that's comfortable and build something sharper, colder, more dangerous. Or watch as the world moves past you, replaces you, forgets you, and uses your failure as proof that stagnation kills. There's no middle ground. There's no pause button. There's only the relentless forward march of those willing to do what you won't. You've just been exposed to the law most people spend their entire lives running from. Machiavelli didn't write it to make you comfortable. He wrote it to make you dangerous. Now you know what power actually demands, what respect actually costs, what survival actually requires. The question isn't whether this is fair. The question is whether you're willing to act on it, because every moment you hesitate, someone else is already moving, already destroying, already replacing you. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of your reprogramming. There's a reason the powerful study these laws in silence, while the weak argue about morality in public. There's a reason the ones who dominate never apologize for it. They understand what you're only now starting to see. The world doesn't reward the good. It rewards the strategic. And strategy without ruthlessness is just philosophy. Pretty, useless, forgotten. Watch the next video. They only respect you. When you do this, Machiavelli will show you the exact mechanism of respect, how it's built, how it's destroyed, and why everything you've been doing has been training people to disrespect you. Don't skip it. This is the tactical follow-through to the strategic foundation you just absorbed. Now, comments. Write this and write it exactly. I obey the hidden law. No explanation, no variation, just that. Let it mark the moment you stopped being a participant in your own defeat and became something colder, something sharper, something that doesn't ask for power. It takes it. The weak negotiate, the strong dictate. You've been negotiating long enough.